Ian's emergency alarms didn't sound because of pirates. They didn't scream because of a reactor failure. They began howling because a tiny dragon, barely the size of a house cat, refused to let go of a human janitor's boot while 12 armed security officers stood frozen in disbelief. No dragon had willingly touched a human in over 6,000 years, yet this one looked up at him and purred. Nobody could explain why. Before we uncover how one forgotten maintenance worker became the center of the greatest dragon migration in recorded galactic history, take a second to like the video. Subscribe if you enjoy cinematic HFY stories, and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's begin. Every morning at precisely 05:40 station time, Ethan Carter walked the same route through Corridor 9. He wasn't a commander, he wasn't a scientist. He wasn't even important enough to appear on the station directory. His badge simply read, Maintenance Technician, Habitat Systems. Most people never noticed him. That suited Ethan just fine. The orbital station Haven's Reach floated between three major trade routes. Tens of thousands of travelers passed through each week. Merchants argued over cargo permits. Diplomats whispered about treaties. Soldiers hurried toward distant wars. Meanwhile, Ethan repaired leaking pipes, cleaned ventilation shafts, and replaced broken lighting panels. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. One rainy cycle, at least the station simulated rain inside its agricultural dome, Ethan heard something strange beneath a discarded shipping container. Not machinery. Not a malfunction, a tiny squeak. He knelt and moved aside the container. Two glowing sapphire eyes stared back at him. Curled into a nest of torn insulation was the smallest dragon Ethan had ever seen. Its crimson scales looked dull beneath layers of dust. One wing hung awkwardly against its body. It couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. The creature hissed with all the confidence of an apex predator, then immediately sneezed. Ethan couldn't help smiling. Well, you're trying, the dragon blinked. No growling, no attack, only exhaustion. Nearby lay the remains of a shattered transport crate bearing an unmistakable warning symbol. Biological specimen. Someone had abandoned it, or worse, someone had tried to smuggle it. Ethan quietly looked around. No one seemed to notice. He removed his lunch container, placed a few strips of cooked protein on the floor, and slowly backed away. The hatchling stared, waited, then waddled forward with clumsy determination. Within seconds, every piece had disappeared. Its tiny tail wagged. Ethan chuckled. I guess that's breakfast. He should have reported it. Station regulations required immediate notification of customs whenever an unidentified life form was discovered. Instead, he came back the next morning, and the morning after that. Soon the little dragon waited for him every day. The workers began calling it Red. Ethan never did. One afternoon he finally asked softly, Got a real name? The hatchling answered by climbing directly into his lap. Fair enough. Weeks passed. The dragon grew healthier. Its damaged wings slowly healed. Its scales gained a deep metallic crimson shine unlike anything shown in public zoological records. Stranger still, it never accepted food from anyone except Ethan. Veterinarians tried, scientists tried, even automated feeding drones failed. The hatchling simply ignored them, then Ethan would arrive carrying his dented lunch box. The dragon sprinted toward him with excited chirps that echoed through the maintenance bay. People laughed. It thinks you're its mother. Ethan always smiled. I hope not. Yet rumors spread quickly across Haven's Reach. Some claimed Ethan possessed forbidden genetic markers. Others insisted dragons could sense kindness. A few believed the hatchling was defective. Nobody guessed the truth, because nobody recognized the markings hidden beneath its wings, nearly 400 light-years away. An ancient council gathered inside a cavern larger than entire cities. Mountains moved, except they weren't mountains. They were dragons, not ordinary dragons. These were the elders. Creatures so old their memories reached back before humanity discovered faster-than-light travel. At the center rested an empty stone platform. One elder slowly lowered his head. The air remains missing, another answered. The scent has returned. Silence consumed the cavern. Impossible. The scent had vanished months earlier after raiders attacked the royal nesting convoy. Every tracker had failed. Every search fleet returned empty. Yet now, the scent burned across the stars, alive. Growing stronger and somehow, mixed with human pheromones. Several younger dragons snarled. A human thief! No! The oldest among them opened glowing silver eyes. Not thief, guardian, for the first time in thousands of years. The ancient pack prepared to leave their sanctuary. Back aboard Haven's Reach, life continued as usual, mostly. Until the first merchant refused to dock. His sensors had detected enormous biological signatures drifting beyond scanner range. Military patrols found nothing. Long-range telescopes recorded strange shadows passing behind nearby asteroids. Then communication buoys began going silent, not destroyed, simply ignored. Station security increased alert levels. Captain Lena Ortiz studied tactical reports with growing concern. No pirate fleet leaves this little evidence. Her operations officer frowned. What if they're not pirates? Before anyone could answer, every external sensor froze. Thousands of ships simultaneously lost long-range targeting systems. One by one, stars disappeared. Not because they went dark, because something unimaginably large blocked them. Gasps filled the command bridge. The display zoomed outward. Hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands. Of dragons, each one larger than cruisers. Each flying silently through vacuum using gravitational organ science still couldn't explain. No battle formation, no weapons charged. Just endless dragons surrounding Haven's Reach, the oldest migration ever recorded. Captain Ortiz whispered, "Dear God." An incoming transmission arrived immediately. No encryption, no threats. Only one sentence translated into every known language. Return our child. Panic spread through the station. Return whose child? No dragon had visited civilized space for centuries. Search teams raced across cargo decks. Customs records were reviewed. Smuggling databases reopened. Nothing. Until one young clerk remembered hearing maintenance workers joke about Ethan's pet lizard. Security officers reached Corridor 9 in under 2 minutes. They found Ethan sitting cross-legged on the floor. The hatchling slept peacefully against his chest. Neither of them had any idea the galaxy was holding its breath. Security officers instinctively raised their pulse rifles. The hatchling reacted first. It stretched lazily, blinked at the strangers, then buried its face deeper into Ethan's jacket as if the armed squad were nothing more than an annoying interruption to its nap. Lieutenant Voss stepped forward carefully. "Ethan Carter, yeah, you need to come with us." Ethan looked around at the rifles pointed toward him. "I really hope this isn't about borrowing maintenance tools again." Nobody laughed. Captain Ortiz herself appeared moments later. Her expression wasn't angry. It was nervous. "Mr. Carter," she said quietly, "where did you find the dragon?" Ethan explained everything. The broken container, the abandoned hatchling, the daily meals, the damaged wing. He didn't leave out a single detail. When he finished, silence filled the corridor. Finally, Ortiz asked the question everyone feared. "You've had it for almost 2 months. And never sold it." Ethan looked genuinely confused. "Sold it? A royal dragon hatchling is worth more than this entire station." Ethan stared at her. "That's ridiculous." "No," she answered softly, "it isn't." Before another word could be spoken, every light on the station dimmed. Gravity fluctuated. Windows overlooking space suddenly became crowded by an enormous shadow. People rushed toward the observation deck. Even seasoned Marines forgot discipline as they looked outside. A dragon larger than any recorded vessel slowly approached Haven's Reach. Its wings stretched for kilometers. Silver-black scales reflected entire constellations. Ancient scars crossed its face like rivers carved into mountains. 2 glowing eyes examined the station with terrifying patience. The station computer couldn't calculate its size. Its database simply displayed, "Object exceeds known classifications." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then the impossible happened. The ancient dragon lowered its massive head, not in attack. In respect, its eyes remained fixed on one person. Ethan. A calm voice echoed through every speaker, not electronic, not translated. It resonated directly inside every mind. "Guardian?" Ethan blinked. "Me." The hatchling suddenly jumped from his arms and raced toward the observation window, chirping excitedly. Outside, the colossal dragon answered with a deep rumble that shook the station. Hundreds of smaller dragons emerged behind it, then thousands more. They weren't preparing for war. They were gathering like an enormous family waiting outside a hospital. Captain Ortiz whispered, "There," greeting it. An elderly xenobiologist pushed through the crowd, his hands trembling. "I know those markings." Everyone turned toward him. "The silver lines beneath the wings," he swallowed hard. "There are only 3 recorded images in galactic history," nobody interrupted. "The hatchling isn't just royal," his voice cracked. "It is the first flame heir." Silence. One Marine frowned. "What does that mean?" The scientist looked toward the endless dragons outside. "It means every dragon alive recognizes that child as the future leader of their species." The realization spread through the room like ice. The most valuable life form in the galaxy had been sleeping inside a maintenance locker and eating leftovers from Ethan's lunchbox. No emperor, no admiral, no billionaire, just a janitor. The ancient dragon spoke again. "Guardian Ethan Carter, may we receive our child?" There was no demand, no threat, only a parent's quiet request. Ethan slowly knelt beside the hatchling. The little dragon happily climbed onto his shoulder, completely unaware that billions of lives depended on what happened next. He scratched beneath its chin. "I guess this is where we say goodbye, huh?" The hatchling immediately wrapped both tiny wings around his neck. It refused to let go. A soft whine echoed through the corridor. Several officers looked away. Even hardened soldiers felt the emotion in that tiny sound. Outside, the great dragon closed its eyes, not impatient, understanding. As though it knew exactly why the hatchling couldn't let go, Ethan smiled sadly. "I know, buddy." He gently stroked its head. "But they came all this way for you." For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then the hatchling loosened its grip. It climbed onto the window platform, looked back once, chirped softly. And with one determined leap, it launched through the newly opened docking shield toward the waiting giant. The enormous dragon caught it with impossible gentleness, cradling the tiny hatchling against its snout. Across space, every dragon bowed their heads, not to the air, to the human who had protected it when no one else had. Moments later, thousands of dragons released a deep harmonic call. The sound rolled across the stars like living music. Station sensors detected gravitational waves spreading for light years. The xenobiologist wiped away a tear. "That's their oldest blessing," Captain Ortiz asked quietly. "What does it mean?" He smiled. "It has no perfect translation." Then he looked at Ethan. "The closest human words would be, 'You are family.'" Before departing, the ancient dragon extended one massive claw toward the station. Resting upon it was a single crimson scale nearly 2 meters long. Its surface shimmered with living golden patterns. The voice returned one final time. "When humanity calls, the ancient pack will answer." With that, the endless dragon migration turned as one. Within minutes, the stars became visible again. The greatest gathering of dragons in history vanished into deep space without firing a single shot. Weeks later, governments argued over the meaning of the event. Scientists studied the gifted scale. Historians rewrote entire chapters about dragons. But Ethan, he went back to fixing air filters. Every morning he still walked Corridor 9. Sometimes he paused beside the little corner where a hungry hatchling had once waited for breakfast. He always smiled, because once every few weeks, a tiny crimson feather, or sometimes a perfectly cooked alien fish, would mysteriously appear outside his maintenance closet. No cameras ever caught who left the gifts. They didn't need to. Far beyond human space, the first flame heir was growing stronger every day. And every lesson about loyalty, kindness, and family began with the same story. Not of kings, not of warriors, but of an ordinary human who saw a frightened little dragon and simply chose to be kind.